Cass Kaase characters over here.
A couple familiar faces already today, and then some more familiar faces that are joining us for the first time today. So how are you guys doing?
All good.
Jon Kaase, Keith Dorton. Oh my goodness, big finish, just like that. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think? You've been out there hanging out, conversations, all that. John, jump in. You've been monitoring. What is your take?
Well, I do well at talking to people that, some of the machinery people and just even the people that are just visiting, picked up a few things, and somebody else wouldn't mean anything, but you know, what kind of lubricant you use on a copper beryllium seed, or just stuff that you never thought of. It's amazing what you can learn from people. You just listen.
What about you, Keith?
Same thing. I mean, it's very rare that I get to interact with people of the caliber that's in this building now, and try to take advantage of every minute of it. My brain's not capable of absorbing it all and maintaining it, but do what I can. And I've not. The only negative part about it is I haven't been able to watch you guys as much.
You're not missing a lot. No, you're missing nothing.
John and all, you know, everybody's sharing information, but boy, it's such a learning pool.
Well, we do have, and I don't know that everybody fully understands it, but we've got a live interaction central going on out there, and it is amazing that people have been able to come out and just watch the show up on a big screen, but also talk about whatever it is that you guys are working on. So Keith, what are you working on these days?
I don't think we have enough time. No, we're just finishing up a Duramax, turbocharged Duramax for a land speed car, going in a Lakester. Hopefully next year we can brag about being the world's fastest, or having the world's fastest diesel. No offense, Cass.
That's what we really wanted. It's okay. If he beats you, it's okay. It's okay. Jump back in.
But of course, we're still doing a lot of the flatheads and some just pretty far out projects. And occasionally, we get to work on a regular old small block. So.
Very cool. Very cool. John, what about you? Latest project?
I would say it's not real exciting, but lately we bought a new Rattler head machine, and because we had to have something that did an absolutely perfect job on valve jobs on new cylinder heads, and we're learning how to get all that and all our ducks in a row to get that done. But you know, we'll have pallets and pallets of cylinder heads that we have to do valve jobs on that are new heads, and but they have to be perfect. They can't be close to perfect. They have to be perfect when they leave the building, because if they're not, it'll be on the internet by the time we get home at night. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's got to be right. And that's so, like I said, it's not real exciting, but sometimes that's what we have to do to pay the bills.
Your customers appreciate that, though.
Well, I hope so.
Yes.
You spend enough money to make it happen, and some of them might not know it, but you know, the guys really, you get parts from us, the guys really inspect that stuff really good, and it's got to be right. And so we're taking steps to make sure it's right, and we don't hear any backlash.
There's been some growth in the whole mountain motor pro stock thing on the NHRA side of the world. Are you involved in any? What are you?
Well, we, for one of the first times in forever, we're building a brand new engine, which we haven't done that in several years. And you know, but they do last a long time. You know, we keep working on them, but they'll go for 10 or 15 years. You might be working on the same engines. You keep making it better. But you know, about the time, I think it's not. We won't order any more parts, so you don't want any more blocks or anything else. Here it goes. They started back up. All of a sudden, there's 20 cars in a 16-car field, and then the NHRA's got 6 races, and we've got some pretty good people to race against, and you know, we're going to have to get after it pretty good.
Well, on that note, just I had always heard there was a bit of a gentleman's agreement at some point to hey, let's not go crazy with development and put each other out of business. And I also
heard that a couple times too, and I said, what world are they in?
Yeah. So what about now, development, knowing that there's a prize out there?
We're gonna, like I said, we're going to get after it pretty good, because there's some pretty talented people out there. But we're a little bit like the NHRA engines, where the gains are really small. You know, it's not that we can't get them better, but there's those 50 horsepower gains in one day. Those days are gone. You know, your little tiny gains maybe.
Excellent. And Billy, when we were speaking a little bit earlier, about the Engine Builder Hall of Fame, just off the air, we talked about you going out on your own, and you said that you called Ed Pink to see if it was the right thing to do, and you dropped a stat on us that I'm going to force you to tell everybody. You probably would never say it without being prompted, but the launch of Godbold Engineering Solutions has been pretty strong. What were those clients that you were able to bring in? What do they do?
Well, I mean, I had 2 professional engine builder clients. I know I can talk about the Elite, so they won the Pro Stock Championship, and my good friends on the Cup side did an excellent job, brought home that trophy too. So, for a first year in business, that's that's almost embarrassingly rich.
Well,
it's been very blessed.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's just why we are so thankful that you guys would take your time to come be part of the Engine Performance Expo and share these things with everybody, because it is that information exchange. We've been talking about it over and over again all day, that we're better collectively than we are individually. Like when Mike was in the Hidden Horsepower episode saying, here they were just digging away in their little area, but then once they started working with the guys at GM and at Chrysler, they started learning other things. That same story over and over again. It's that cross-pollination. I mean, Keith, you have so many different things in your shop. That's not only is it probably challenging, but it probably also really helps keep the mind sharp, right? Because, I mean, last time I saw you, you were working on a Mini Cooper engine.
Yeah, it is. And Jeff and I had this conversation outside with some others that. One of the, because I've always been a gearhead and a hot rodder, and it wasn't about the money. And people would come in and bring me a vintage head of some type, or bring us and want it fixed, and I'd carry it over to Jeff, and if looks could kill, I wouldn't be here.
He's like, Dad,
but he
what are you
shared,
doing?
With the people we were talking with that, I'm just opposite. And we had people that were in NASCAR that they'd come in our shop, and I'd be working on a Silver Crown engine one day and a Cup engine the next day, and or late model dirt. Mm-hmm. And they come in, are you crazy? They said. And some of those people, they're good friends. Some of them aren't doing it anymore because they were one track, and some of them expanded into doing other things. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna, before I forget it, can I say one thing?
Yes.
John used a word that we very seldom use in this industry. What was it?
I don't remember.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
We were doing perfect valve jobs 40 years ago, we thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're perfect now.
Yeah.
5 years or whatever may not be as perfect then.
Yeah. Perfect is a moving target.
It is. It really is. But that was... I've only had one time that I can remember that somebody called me and told me their engine was perfect, and I only wish I could have recorded it because later when he got beat, it wasn't perfect anymore. Yeah. Sorry but I
No. That's why we have these. That's the beauty of this, is that this is the platform where you guys can share your thoughts.
And you two missed this, because back, behind the door, when we're all sitting down back there during these sessions and talking, was it 2 years ago, Keith came up to me and was like, hey, I've got this friend that I really want to help out. It's just a small block Chevy, but, he wants to pull this, RV with up to Alaska and back. And he's doing missionary work. And, we talked about it. We were like, well, why don't we do this and do this and do this? And we're trying to take a 50-year-old engine and make it better. And just a few weeks ago, the guy comes back by the shop. He has 30,000 miles on this deal. It got so cold that they had to redo the tune because they'd never seen 20-degree air before. So it was over there to see what winter weather was like. But we get to play with this, and with all of the awesome stuff we get to work on. Getting this variety of things and trying to do things better, taking something you've done 1,000 times and can I make it better? And that's just that really lights us up. That is true enjoyment. And so much of that shop talk is going on at the Engine Performance Expo that you guys never see, but it is absolutely awesome.
Well, that's part of those things. Right? If you're watching outside on YouTube, then you get to see this part. But there is this whole other
organism back over there.
Right, which is, I think, valuable.
Oh, it's fun.
I remember when Scooter was here a couple years ago, he said he had this very first conversation ever with Warren Johnson because he was
forbidden. That was the word is forbidden.
Forbidden.
You had to choose. You know, when you were Bob's friend, you could either be Bob's friend or Warren's friend. You could not be Bob and Warren's friend. So you just had to choose. Now, what's funny is you could be Bob's friend and still be Glidden's friend and Grumpy's friend and everything like that. But those guys were at it, and you just had to pick. You were,
you were Ford or Chevy, and there was no in between.
You were Auburn, Auburn,
Alabama, right?
Right. You weren't both.
Yeah.
Cass, jump in here. You've been, I think you've been at all the expos, and so, if not all, most.
Yeah.
What are your observations this year?
Oh man, it's always enjoyable. It's a wealth of information as these guys. I mean, it's surreal to be able to sit on a panel of legends that, in my mind, these guys are just a lot of fun they're a lot of fun to hang around. They're very educational, to say the least, to hang around, but they're just they're great guys to hang around because of the like-mindedness and the willingness to help, and just hardworking. They're very driven, very passionate about what they do, and so that's for there's a certain amount of kind of like the birds, that all the flock together. Yeah. It's very similar in that manner, and you don't, when you're in the shop and you're working, you're looking at what's ahead of you, and you don't get really a chance for the camaraderie and the to hang around those type of people. And it's fun, to come to the Engine Performance Expo to be able to get to catch up, see who's doing what, and how the year went for them. So it's always fun.
So what are you seeing in business right now? What are you feeling?
Well, we're in a constant state of growth. I mean, I don't want to get too much into this, but right now we're for about 40 employees in, and we've got a commitment to go to 100 employees in the next 4 years. So we have got a lot on our plate all the time. So there's been a lot of growth for us this year. We've been working really, really hard. We're talking about making things better. Engines are always one of the things that we're constantly talking about making better, but making a company better is something that's very real and very important. The development of that, for me, a focus has definitely been this last year. It's not something that you can take your eyes off of. There's constant development and growth. We talk about engines and torsional loads, and we talk about bending and twists and moment of inertia and all these other things that affect it. And though it seems like there's a ton of things that go on with an engine and all the different forces that are acting on it, business is the same way, because the forces that are acting on it are always people. And there's always some changing momentum that's going on there. So that's been a big part of what I've been up to. And then we're going after a land speed record for in all things, a Ford Excursion, pulling a trailer across Mirage or wherever we're going to wind up doing this at. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
You're going to have to break that down for a second,
Sorry,
a little more in depth. A land speed record while pulling a trailer?
Yeah, so right now the current record is held by a guy in a Duramax. We're going to do it in a Ford just because we like hardship in our life. And but anyways, we're going to do this in a Ford Excursion. So we're actually doing it on the Diesel Masters. We announced that on the last episode. So we're going to be working on, we're trying to get Airstream involved in this. We'll see how that goes. But we'll be doing, the record is that the trailer, I think you have to, there's certain requirements for this trailer. It's basically a camper style trailer. So there's some ground rules that are set up.
What is the current record?
142 miles an hour.
Okay.
Pulling a trailer, which is, it's a little.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. What could possibly go wrong?
Now, an Excursion. Now, don't they have? Right. Now, most of the land speed stuff, they put a limit to how much something can weigh, right?
Yeah.
Not a minimum weight, but a maximum weight.
Right.
Can you get an excursion under the maximum weight?
Well, this one here is what there was no limitation
Oh,
there
that's
for
right.
us.
Okay.
So that was pretty nice, and that was some of the problems that they had the last go round. We've become, we're friends with the guy that held the record. So going forward, he's lended a little bit of some help and aid there and some suggestions. And I said in the episode, the greatest ability is availability, and that's really kind of what we had. That was some of the things they were fighting, camper shells and different things like that. On the last one, it didn't have that, and some of the wind dynamics, they were fighting off the trailer. They're going to do this, and it seemed like the excursion for a production vehicle ended up being We'll see.
What could go wrong? Jon Kaase.
Yeah, but everybody that's here, all of us are thinking, what could we do to make that better?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, would it need a wing on the back of the trailer? Or will the thing lift off the ground after it's 100 miles an hour because it's rising up? There's all these thoughts that go through, but that's kind of like what we're stricken with here is everything you look at, you try and figure out
the excursion's
how
big
you
enough.
can improve it.
So all of us can load up and go when we get ready. So I'll give you a call.
Are you going to drive?
Well, it's to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll watch.
Since he flew stunt planes, he's safe to drive.
Yeah, no. Someone's got to document the whole thing.
If the trailer does something goofy, just don't lift.
Quick disconnect from the trailer.
You get rid of it.
We'll see about that. It's a rental.
So day one in the books, but we got a whole nother day tomorrow, and we're going to run through a lot more content. But some common themes through all engine performance expos. But what we've seen, and the way I look at it, is we get further and further away from 2020 pandemic. That's when we had our first time here, and it was just so different to hear what the hitches were, what the choke points were. We can't get parts. We can't get anything. We got to make what we've got last. Everyone has said it's much better now. Maybe not as good as it was. Maybe better. Who knows? But finding a way. That's what this group does. They find a way regardless. Speak on that a little bit, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole passion of our industry is built off of, you talked about over here, you're talking about like a virtual, kids who are in the virtual world versus being kind of in the real world. In the virtual world, you usually get kind of stuck that you can go path A, B, C, or D. Like we're talking about with his land speed. It's like, well, should I put lead in the frame? What tires? What are the rating of the tires? How much weight can they take? What do we do with the aerodynamics? How short can I make the tongue? There's all these things that run through our mind, and so that's the passion of this group, is trying to figure out creative ways when there are no real limitations to what you can do. How can we let this creativity, this tinkery way, just like John said, he's talking about 10 different ways. I was thinking about, all kinds of different stuff. How low can it be? There's all sorts of stuff. And, you've got like one of my dear friends, Kenny Detweiler, just loves the land speed stuff because there's not many rules. And, of course, you're out there with him every year. And, these guys, they'd have to build a new shop to hold all the trophies that they have from all the land speed stuff. He didn't mention it. This guy won his customer won the Mountain Motor Pro Stock Championship this year. So, these guys they're doing awesome stuff out there. They push each other, and they're contagious. Just like we talked about with the Engine Builder Hall of Fame. This guy's over here building he's not out there promoting his business. He's trying to get people to donate stuff for a high school, elementary school, get people excited about engine stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about, I know where an engine that's cut up that we could bring and let these kids play with it. It's a different deal, and it's so much fun to watch. How can we how can we share how cool this is? How can we give people this view? My wife and I do a lot of backpacking, and to take a couple that's never been out and show them a morning view over something awesome in the Smokies and let them see something and see what we love in their eyes is awesome. And that's what the Engine Performance Expo has been about, is letting people see things from our eyes. I'm very proud to be part of it.
Oh, and it's neat. You can see it in the comments on the videos. Obviously, this is the 2-day live stream, but then over the course of the year, it gets broken up into little bite-sized pieces because this is a lot to take in all at once for anybody, even me. So when it gets broken up and becomes the mini-series, I see the comments and how appreciative people are. Because some people, you could be in Australia or somewhere else and not being able to make it to PRI or other trade shows, but they get to come and they get to go in your shop. I mean, John, you do know that your tool video is still like the number one. Like people make comments of that every day. Like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? It's pretty crazy. That very first one that we did, and that's the beauty of doing it this way, is that it keeps giving. You make the video once, you share that little nugget, and now it keeps on going back. You think about the conversations and the things that have happened at AETC back in the day. If you weren't in the building, it didn't exist. At least now, what we do here on the stage and with the videos, it exists. When we get to go to your shop tomorrow, right, we're going to be doing line boring on an R07. Well, how many people have actually seen an R07 block? And then, Jeff's going to be sitting there line boring it, and you guys are going to be talking about cam versus crank alignment and all those things. So it's going to be fantastic tomorrow because it's not just here. All the video segments that are either when Owen's in your shop or at Jon Kaase's place, talking to Scooter at your shop tomorrow, all those things bring value. I mean, I think back to your place when you were making the connecting rods. All these little things we just keep giving back because we were talking to Ed a little bit ago, right, about doing that shop tour. And he's like, I don't know about that. It's like, I get it. That's the normal thing. And I get it from a business perspective. You don't really want to do that. But the reality is we all will get better if we share more. It keeps pushing because, you may show something to somebody. They may use it against you. But you'll learn from somebody else a way to use it back. We'll all get better as we keep sharing.
Yeah, Scooter used to say, Scooter Brothers comp cams always say, the more you tell, the more you sell. And because he'd let me go out and do these seminars, I'm like, okay, what's off limits? Like, well, okay, what are you contractually obligated not to talk about? Okay, everything else is on limits. I'm like, everything? Yeah, everything. It's like, because like you said, that, and honestly, sometimes what we're here is, we don't want people to take up golf. It's hard on your knees. It's no fun. You lose balls. Go into motorsports. It's a lot more fun. So let's tell people about what we do and why we do it and why it's cool. And, and we're liable, it's going to help our businesses more than it will hurt them. I guarantee that.
Yeah. It's gotten me in trouble a couple times at Hartford. Having the Scooter mentality, like, there's nothing off limits. Right?
What's contractually, what have you signed a contract saying you will not talk about?
I didn't show any of those pictures of those things. Right. I didn't talk about any of those people that we do business with.
What about the secret door? Did you go behind the secret door?
No, that's what I'm saying. I showed them everything but what was behind the secret door.
That's it. Then you're good.
So fine. We're
no, it's interesting to see, and as I'm scanning through some of the comment sections about, just different parts and pieces and machines, and does Rottler have this fixture, and just it's sparking curiosity from everyone that's watching live, and of course we appreciate you guys out there, and thank you for that, and adding to the show. And I'm trying to weave in some questions, of course, here and there, certainly topics for what people are interested in, because it's just it's inspirational. Like you get in a rut, you start thinking about something, you see a conversation like this, and it maybe inspires you to go out and do something different, get involved, do something a different way. Like Keith, you told me last night, you've got a goal that you've set for yourself. Speaking of land speed.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's why I was asking Cass to get a drive. I'll be 80 next year, and on my bucket list, I want to try to get in the 200 mile hour club. So we've got a car, and going to let me use. Of course, we got to have an engine. No, we got an engine. But I'm looking forward to that. It was a challenge. Wife's not real happy about it, but
but that's planned for this year, weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
Salt permitting.
Next August. Yeah. So hopefully next year you and I will have a lot to pat ourselves on the back about.
Yeah.
Come back next year, you'll be wearing a red hat instead of.
Right.
Yeah. So you get that red hat, you got to wear it.
You got to
wear it.
Worry. I'll be like Chris Rasky.
Exactly. Yeah.
He sleeps in that hat.
Yeah, Chris is awesome, man. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Can I say one thing? Well, to follow up real quickly about what Billy was talking about on that one engine. One of the critical. This guy devoted his life to sharing the word. Went to Anchorage, Alaska, in this thing. It was more stress on myself and Jeff, that thing, because he only had a few hundred miles on it when he left to go to Alaska. Sent a 56 Chevrolet truck. That's how he attracts attention.
Okay.
But boy, I thought I worried about an engine going to a real prestigious race, Daytona, whatever.
Yeah.
I was sick worried about this stuff.
Yeah, going to Alaska.
Yeah, and it's just a street engine. But we increased his mileage, it was good. He said the biggest problem he had was going up the hills in the mountains where these new high-dollar new trucks was pulling a trailer. Mm-hmm. He had to let off the gas to keep from running over them.
That's crazy. But if it blew up, it'd blow up exactly the worst distance from any place with civilization. When you're about 500 miles from Alaska or something.
I wonder, that's an interesting subtopic in that, dealing with the stress of a job. Everybody has to deal with the stress of a job. And I think about, personal safety obviously is a big part of it. And you guys have that, right? People are getting in these cars and machines and it's got to stay together. And if you kick the rods out, there's much greater chance something terrible could happen. But just that example, every engine you build, every part you machine, somewhere in there, you've got to be thinking about the consequences of the failure and live with that. And that's got to be tough. Mm-hmm. If I misspeak, I'm going to be annoyed at myself for the next few days or weeks, but everyone's going to be okay. You guys have a different scenario out there as the engine builders, whether it be for racing or for helping a missionary. It's something that you can't just forget about it or blow it off.
Yeah, I dare say none of us,
angle.
Most all of us here haven't lost a close friend to motorsports. So it happens. Is it going to change anything? No, we're not going to quit what we're doing. But you got to remember that. But, you get butterflies before a race, don't you, when one of your engines are out there?
Sure.
Yeah, I do too. It might make you nauseous. Not so much worrying about everything. Safety, is it going to kick the rods out? Is it going to run okay? And it's much like I've had the conversation, much like entertainers before they go out on stage. That mentioned maybe they're doing it for all their life, and they're going to throw up or something.
I remember the first time I met Mark Cronquist when I was hired at Gibbs, and I went up to him and said, I'd never met him before, but I knew who he was, obviously, and I said, obviously, you're entrusting me to be in charge of this oil program and be in the middle of all this stuff. Just know that, I've never been an engine builder, but I can recognize the stress and the responsibility you carry. And I said, I remember Jay Beard was my dad's engine builder when he won at Darlington. And I remember the last, 7 laps of that race. Dad's lapped up to 3rd place. So we're a mile in. I think he's like 19 seconds ahead of Quickie. We're gone, right? Just don't blow up, don't have a flat tire, you're going to win the race. And all the pit guys are up on the pit wall, they're watching. J.E. is looking the other direction. He's ghost white, like that wall. Nerves. Mm-hmm. I told Mark that story. It's like he handed me the keys to the kingdom. He's like, oh, you get it. You understand what I'm going through. And I'm like, I won't let you down. I'm never going to do anything that's going to put you in jeopardy, because I understand what's at stake. That there is a human holding that steering wheel. And either it's their safety, but it's also their livelihood. What happens in that race may or may not affect if they have a job next year, and what happens to their family and all that. At the end of the day, it is personal, and you got to treat it that way. But that's what makes it. But that's what's part of that alchemy that makes this so wonderful. It's competition, but there's also human drama in it as well.
When that checkered flag falls, it's like you breathe again. You didn't realize
Yeah.
you didn't hold your breath.
Stop breathing. Yeah.
Yeah, when one goes, I mean, one year at Daytona, it was Rusty Wallace. He was leading the mid, and like you had to understand, Rusty Wallace never won restrictor plate races.
Nope.
And he's leading Daytona, and they do a last green flag pit stop, and he just shoves it down to whatever gear for whatever RPM, and he just going in the pits and drops the clutch, and had the in-car camera and just saw the tack needle go over to the side and just peg over there, and the dread that came over me at that instant, and my phone immediately starts ringing, and it's different guys, and like, well, how many more laps you think it's going to stay? I was like, I don't think it's going to get out of the pits, It went like 3 or 4 more laps. It looked like it was fogging for mosquitoes down the back stretch. It had broken every intake spring in the whole thing. But you see things like that, and you're watching these things, and you're just right there on the edge of the street. And one of my good friends got fired from that. Was because he's the engine builder for that program. You see somebody, that's Mike Egge, really good guy, gets fired because of that. There's something to this deal that it's real, and it can. You're watching these things, you're watching these races on the edge of your seat, and what you said, when the checkered flag comes and it goes through and the race is won, you're just like, it feels like you have not had a full breath in, the whole time.
But I think don't that kind of emphasize how much you really put into it yourself?
Yeah, you try to do everything. You never go to a race with exactly the package you want, because man, if I could do this row this much, this could be this much better. But you go with the best you possibly can do, and you get out there and you hope for the best, and you know that if everybody in the whole organization is doing it at that level, then great things are going to happen, and it has to be every individual throughout an organization. Right. It's not just one person.
No,
it's the whole group.
Always a team, and we're thankful for you guys to be on our team. Joe, I think day one
in the books.
In
Checker
the books.
flag waving.
That's
you
right.
You may all breathe.
Yeah.
You may all breathe.
Exactly.
Hey, Lake's tired.
Never gets tired. Never gets tired. No, but it's been an exciting
He's the
day.
Energizer bunny that's lost a step.
It's all good. We're just getting settled in for tomorrow. So this is day one. All done. We'll come back. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, for the final day of the Engine Performance Expo.
What a day, what a day, what a day. Yeah, my brain is swollen. I've learned so much today. They told us, don't start cars. We are not going to listen.